Mommispace, a place where you can remember who you are in the midst of it all. This podcast gives moms of all stages a voice to share their experiences and the truth that there is no right way to mom.
Here we go. Here we go. The arms that hold you now bring a fire. The arms that hold you now bring a fire.
Hey Mommispace, it's Bree. Thanks so much for tuning in once again to this new season on foster care and adoption. This is episode 3. Welcome. It's going to be a good day. Just wanted to touch base with you, say hello before we kind of dive into the episode. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't listened to the song I wrote for this season or for last season, you can check those out on Instagram. If you click on the link in my bio, it will take you to another link for SoundCloud. You can hear the entire song there, or you can just wait till the end of this episode and hear the song for this season. I add it to the end of every episode. But if you like it, if you've enjoyed it, would you reach out to me? Let me know what you think. This is a very personal project for myself that I've set for this year to write a song for each season. Just because that's one of my desires with this space anyways, to encourage moms to continue to do what they love as they raise their family, because what brings you life will bring your kids life, right? Well, that's the idea anyways. So I'm going for it, and it's been so life-giving so far. So if you could give me feedback on that, that would be amazing. Also, if you've enjoyed this podcast and have it's impacted you in any way, would you share with a friend? Tag them on Instagram on Mommispace, or another great way you can do that is leave a review on iTunes. This helps get the word out about the show overall. So just wanted to give that little shout out first. You guys are amazing. It's incredible to see how many people are listening in from all over the world, and the downloads have just increased significantly, which is awesome. That's not what it's about, but I just get really excited knowing that these stories of different mamas are getting out to many different ears and lifestyles and whatever that may be. So it's just exciting to me, and wanted to share that with you and encourage you that good things are coming and exciting things are happening. So, all right, guys, love you. Enjoy this episode with Megan Williamson. Welcome back to Mommispace. I am here today with Megan Williamson. We are continuing the talk and journey of kind of diving into foster care and adoption. And Megan is someone I met on Instagram, along with some of the other mamas. I was just so fortunate to kind of fall into their path, and we've just grown a relationship there, and I'm so thankful. It feels like we're friends already and we haven't even met in person. I just love that. But Megan, welcome to the show. Thank you for saying yes to doing this with me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. So fun.
Yay, me too. Okay, well, I love to start off just asking each mama, like, what's the story of your journey into motherhood? What did that look like? Were you trying to get pregnant? And then I just like kind of having that as the basis to build on how you kind of got into foster care and adoption and all that good stuff. So.
Yes. So I grew up in the Bay Area in San Ramon in California, and my mom had a home daycare. So I always grew up with a lot of kids around. I loved my mom's daycare. And then as I got older, I was a nanny. I actually opened a nanny agency when I was 19.
Oh my gosh,
and
19? Wow.
It was very strange. I was a go-getter in those. I mean, yeah, I was a go-getter when I was a teen. I thought I was an adult. It was all right. I did all right.
I love it.
And then I actually opened my own home daycare when my husband and I got engaged.
Wow.
Everyone, my whole childhood told me, you're going to have 6 kids. You're going to have a big family. I was like that crazy neighbor girl who was like, do you need to go out on a date? Like, I'll babysit. I was definitely, it didn't surprise anyone when we ended up having all the kiddos that we did. But
Wow.
So I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We actually started dating when I was 14.
No way.
Yeah. So we were married for 7 years before we got married. We were married for 7 years. We were together for 7 years before we got married.
Wow.
We were not married for 7 years. So we were, by our first anniversary, marriage anniversary, we were pregnant with Olive, our first. So yeah, we got pregnant pretty immediately with her. And then when she was 3, we had our second child, Sawyer. And then we decided, Olive was born at 31 weeks, and I had a large fibroid and a very high risk pregnancy, emergency C-section. Olive was born at 3 pounds and spent 5 weeks in the NICU.
Gosh, wow.
So then I had to have a surgery to remove the fibroid.
Wow.
And then with Sawyer, I was told that I had another fibroid, and then he was also he was an emergency C-section, but he was also a NICU baby.
Wow.
So at that point, yeah, we really decided we wanted a large family, and we had always talked about adoption, and we were used to loving on other people's kids through the daycare. And so we just really were like, let's do this adoption thing. Nice. We were so young and just, oh my gosh. We were so kind of flippant about the whole thing.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah. I had a very romanticized vision of what that actually was when we first set out.
Wow.
But we've grown. You live and you learn, they say.
Yeah. I love it. That's so good. Yeah. So why don't you share then your journey as far as like walking into that space? How old were you guys when you started having this conversation, by the way?
So when I was 17, I was like, we're going to have a bunch of kids. We're going to adopt kids. Okay. We're going to do so my husband always knew I was like bound and determined to adopt kids. And so it wasn't so much a decision of if we would, it was more a decision of how we would, really.
Okay.
And then after the difficult pregnancies, we were like, well, yeah, this makes sense. My husband did get really nervous when it came time to like actually do the thing. He was like, oh gosh, this is actually really scary. And we had some dear friends who had adopted, and they took us out to dinner, and we just asked them all the questions that you're not supposed to ask adopted parents.
I love
we were just like, really, we're like, can we say all the things to you, please?
That's so good, though, I think you felt that freedom, I think. Like, wow.
Well, we asked for it. I was like, I'm going to be totally, like, not politically correct. Like, please, so please let me say horrible things. So we decided we were going to do private adoption, and we were doing fundraisers and the whole nine. Like, we were going to do the thing. And it was going to cost $30,000. And we were just like, God will provide. Like, we are doing this thing. So we were so silly. And then we still have this bowling pin that was in the garage sale. We had like a huge garage sale. Like, I think 15 families donated. Wow. And we had like birth moms who had decided that adoption was the right story for their child come and tell us their story. We had people who had adopted. We had people who had been adopted. Like, it was really a cool day. Wow. And we made $1,800.73. Wow. And so we had a bowling pin left over from the garage sale, and we wrote the dollar amount that we had made on it. And then our plan was, we're going to write every fundraiser, every amount. And we're going to, like, you know how they do those big fundraiser bulletin boards, like fill the thermometer up. We were going to do this, right? That is the only entry on our, I love it. God, and this isn't even really something I super believe in, but I do believe that it happened to me. God intervened, and just through a random series of events made it pretty clear that we were supposed to go into foster care. So takes 9 weeks in our county to become a foster parent. So in 9 weeks' time, we were licensed, and 7 hours after we were licensed, we got our first phone call for our son, Levi.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was wild. And it's the strangest thing to go in. There's a 7-week-old baby.
Oh my
a little boy. And we go in, and I'm not kidding. Like, it is easier than buying a car to get a baby.
Whoa.
It's so strange. Like, you walk in, they hand you this baby, you sign 4 like sheets of paper, and then you leave.
Oh my goodness. What
It's
a trip.
so, it was like, I just remember driving home feeling like, what just happened?
Wow.
We just are walking out of this like super industrial building, just holding a baby that I do not know. I know his name. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
he was 7 weeks old. So I'm like, schedule, like, how much does he eat? What size diaper does he wear? Like, nothing. I knew nothing.
Whoa.
It was a freaking trip.
Dang.
Let me tell you. So, and like everything that they had told us about him was totally wrong. Like, he was mom's first baby. They had his birthday wrong. Like, they had everything.
Way.
Everything we were told about him was wrong.
Oh my gosh.
So you just come home, and he was traumatized, which I just can't even tell you how much you learn about being a person through foster care. Like, you look at these babies and you just think, he was 7 weeks old. He wasn't even 2 months old. There's no way he could know that he had suffered in his life. Like, he didn't have any physical damage to his body, but his little soul knew. Like, his eyes were dead. He didn't cry. He was totally flat affect. He was just,
oh my gosh.
Like, he wouldn't tell you when he was hungry or wet or uncomfortable. He didn't sleep. Like, he would just lay there, but he wouldn't sleep. So I started wearing him just 100% of the time. Wow. And the poor guy, he is one of my most attractive children now, but he was ugly as sin, that child.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
He was like a codfish because he had been in a chair in his whole life, like in a bouncy seat or something. And so his head was completely flat. His eyes were like on one side. I took him to the doctor 3 different times, and I was like, he needs genetic testing. So, like, something's wrong. And she was like, nah, man, he's just ugly. Like,
oh my gosh.
So I'll never forget, like 3 weeks into having him, my friend came over and he was like, oh my gosh, you healed his head with your love. Like, he was his ugliest baby, and you loved him. And look at him, like, his eyes were sparkly, and he was real fussy, which was great news for us because he was interacting and smiling. And anyways, so we actually ended up losing him, which was like, it sounded like it was really bad. It was really just traumatizing. To a family member. Reunification is king in foster care. Wow. And so you're in this weird position where you want to be supportive, and you want to want what the county wants because you want more babies. And so you're in this weird place. So we lost him to biological mom's brother and his wife. And then 2 days later, I got a phone call saying, the baby that you just lost has a 4-year-old and 3-year-old sibling that are in the system. Do you want them?
No way.
And yeah,
I
was like in my bed, like crying for my baby.
Oh man.
And they were like, he has siblings if you want them. So it was very disorienting because I'm grieving. And we had only ever planned to have 3 children, and we had only ever planned to adopt an infant. And these kids were having reunification services, and we had never planned on doing that. Wow. But we really just felt like it was like the baby had been given to us as a way to open our hearts to these older kids, and that this was a way his loss could serve someone else. So I went on a Friday afternoon, and I met my kids. Wow. My son was 4 and my daughter was 3. She was her head shaved bald.
No way.
Yeah, she had lice, and they just shaved her head.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and my son had little black shark eyes. He was just like angry little dude. And I took him to the park, and I was like texting my husband like, oh no, these are them. These are our kids. These are our kids. And He's like, no, oh my gosh, they have reunification. We're going to lose them too. Like, please, please, please. So that was a Friday. And I actually brought them home. So the deal was I was going to take them to the park, and then I was going to go meet with the social worker on Monday. This was the plan. Well, bleeding heart Megan says, do you want to come to my house for a turkey sandwich?
Oh.
So we brought them over. My son had never seen a carrot before. So he was confused about the food that I was feeding him, which was like, you just want to cry with every interaction. Wow. You're just like, oh my gosh. And I actually asked them, because at that point, my husband and I had really decided, like, this is it. We'll take them. Wow. And so I said, do you want to come live here with us? And I had my daughter Olive and Sawyer were here with me. Sawyer was 1, and Olive was 3. No, Olive was 4. And he was like, you want us to come live with your kids like we're living with that other lady and her kids? I was like, yeah, but like a little bit different, and it would be different in these ways. You'd have your own room here, and everything here would be yours, and you could call me Megan, or you could call whatever you want, but I'm the mom of this house, and I would be acting as your mom until we found out what was going to happen with your mom and your dad. And he was just like, day one, like he hadn't even moved in here. He looked at his sister and he was like, well, do you want to call her mom? And she was 3, like, what did she care? And she was like, yeah, I'll call her mom. And he's like, well, if she's going to, I guess I will.
No way.
Yeah. So they called us mom and dad before they even moved in.
Okay, so I have to ask you a question because I'm still learning so much, like, from each person I talk to. So when you say, like, you, was this just supposed to be kind of an introduction to these kids? When you say, like, reunification, what does all of that mean? What did that look like?
Sure. Okay, so the counties, most states, really want to reunify the child to the birth parent. So my kids were in what's called family reunification services.
Okay.
So that means once a week they would go to the county building, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, just depending on your specific case, for visitation with the biological parent.
Okay.
So it starts with, you sit in a room and like somebody supervises the visit, and they meet for 2 hours. And then if those go well, they do it twice a week. And then if those go well, they do it 3 times a week. And then if those go well, they have unsupervised visits at a park for 4 hours.
I
and
see.
Then,
okay.
So our kids were meeting with biological parent once a week for 2 hours. And then court was 6 months, scheduled for 6 months out. So basically we knew when they came to us that the very least would be 6 months. We would have.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. So that's where we were. Which was not our plan. At all. We wanted to take a child that was like ready to be adopted.
Right.
Because we thought that would be best for our older children.
Sure.
I guess they weren't older. So we did everything wrong. We took a child that is, we really did. They recommend not to take a child that's older than your oldest biological child. We did that. We took someone who was 7 months older than our oldest biological child. They say, whatever. There's a whole host of things that we said no to in the beginning that we were like, forget it, we'll do it. We took them in 2 weeks before Christmas. So we didn't have car seats, beds, clothes. My son had no shoes on his feet because the other which is totally illegal, but the other foster mother asked me, she was like, do you mind if I keep these? I've got other kids coming in tomorrow. And I was like, I don't care. I was probably just going to throw them away. I really did donate everything that they came to me in, just because it's so weird to have a child in your house calling you mom that you don't know. And so you didn't name them. You didn't have 9 months to prepare for them.
Yeah.
They're bunking up in the already existing boys' room because I didn't know until 2 days before they came to move with me that I was even getting more children. So
Wow.
everything feels so impersonal. So the one thing I really could control was their clothes. So I was
Wow.
like,
That
I'm
makes
going to buy your
sense.
clothes. You're going to have, that's something that I can have that, like, I don't know, feels like a tie. You know what I mean?
Yep, totally.
Because bonding is so different when I've got this 4-year-old and he'll talk about things and he's calling me mom, but I don't even I don't know anything. I don't know where he lived. I don't know. I had never met his parents at that point. Like,
Wow.
I didn't know him. I didn't know her either, but she was really quiet.
Wow.
My daughter was really quiet.
Okay, so I'm assuming these are the kids that you ended up, like, tell us the story. Like, did these kids end up, landing with you guys or what?
These are my babies. So, we had our kids for 4.5 months, and they were at visitation, and I was at Walmart picking up prizes because I used to have to bribe them to go to visits without screaming because it was so traumatizing to them. So I was at Walmart because it was close to the visitation center, and I was picking out like prizes, and I get a text message from the woman who has the first baby. And she says, my husband and I are getting a divorce. We can't keep the baby. Do you want him back?
No way. Oh my gosh, plot twist. Holy moly.
I dropped to my knees in the middle of Walmart. Like, Walmart is not the place you want to be, on your hands and knees. And I was just sobbing, hysterical, like gulping sobs. And so I called the social worker and blah, blah. Anyways, so my husband and I, 2 days later, drove to Sacramento and picked him up, brought him home. And he's their biological brother, but my kids never met him because he was taken into custody straight from the hospital.
Whoa.
So it was so cool to be able to bring home this baby and say, like, this is your brother. This is your blood.
Oh,
and they remembered their mom being pregnant with them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And that's so great.
Yes.
So we have them all now. We were in foster care for 18 months, 507 days actually. So I don't know if that actually is 18 months. However long 500. Yeah.
I don't know.
507 days.
Wow.
And then we got to adopt them. And it's been wild.
Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you.
Wow.
And then
okay.
8 months after the adoption was finalized, I found out I was pregnant. So that's number 6.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so just wrap up quick. Like, what was that like? Finding that out. What were your emotions like? So I'm assuming, like, where are you at with the foster care adoption stuff now? Like, have you closed that door? Or just like fill us in on those little things too.
Okay. So, I know, right? So
that's amazing.
And I did not get pregnant easily, and my labors were really scary. We had really felt like we are done with that. This is our family. We have the 5. We're good. And yeah, I just really didn't ever think. So then when I found out I was pregnant, my husband just laughed. And my husband is a pretty chill guy, and he just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. He was just like, "Of course you are. Of course you're pregnant. Like, why not?"
Oh my gosh.
I drove a 12-passenger van after that. It was just crazy.
Whoa.
So I actually got my tubes tied because she was a NICU baby as well. It was just like, wow. Okay, really, really, you have to know what your body can do. And my body is not good at creating life, unfortunately. They're beautiful and they're smart and they're brilliant, but man, I do not get them out well. So, really, as far as like, will we have more or whatever, I didn't think we would ever have 6.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
I don't know. I do have occasional contact with their birth mom. And so there is a world in which she has another baby that comes into the system.
Okay.
And she's had several since our kids were adopted, and for lots of reasons they haven't come to live with us. So I don't know. I think our family is done. I think 6 under 9 is really
oh my goodness. Well,
But
and
who
here's
knows?
the other thing that people may not know is that you homeschool your kids too, right? Do you
I
homeschool all of
do
them,
that.
right?
Yes, that is
Wow.
definitely a thing that I do as well.
Yeah, so
Which
that's a
adds a
lot.
layer,
I
right?
I
Like,
I
yeah,
wouldn't blame you if that was kind of, yeah, just taking a breather
yeah,
from kiddos. That's fair.
it
Wow.
does. It's weird to think that that part of my life is over because
Mm,
it's so exciting and
sure.
new life and change and all that. I love it.
Oh,
But yeah, sometimes I really do think like, okay, what best serves the kids that I already have, you know?
sure, sure.
So I
Wow.
think 6 is it for us.
Wow, I'm just so I thank you for like sharing the details and like the whole story. It's just so amazing. Not everybody like goes that deep or shares the details, and I think it adds a lot. I'm really thankful for that part of it. Seriously, thank you.
Of course. It's an interesting story, that's for sure. I think it gives people a perspective of how unpredictable foster care is. Like
Yeah,
you really
yeah,
just can day to day think one thing's happening
yeah.
and it's something different's happening.
I mean, that's the
It's
story
crazy.
I've heard so far, and it's wild. Yeah, I guess you have to like be open to the like spontaneous and, the
Yes.
unknown and being okay with that, the mystery, if you're signing
Yes.
up for that kind of thing. Wow.
Yes. Yes. It's crazy.
What's like something that you would want to educate people on who have little to no knowledge of the foster care and adoption system?
Yes. Okay. So when I saw this question, I said to my husband, like, what do you think? And we both said the same thing. There is no special thing for somebody who needs to be a foster parent.
Mm,
In our county, there are over 700 foster children and there are over 800 churches. And the statistic just is staggering to me because really, if one family from every church took one child, these children would be in safe and loving homes.
wow.
So there was no reason for my son to come to me with his head flat because
Mm,
it would have been for people who say I can't do it forever or I'm too old or I don't have enough money. First of all, they pay you fairly
yeah.
well to do it every month, even post adoption.
Wow.
And yeah, my son needed 7 weeks of somebody holding him and talking to him so that when he
Mm,
came to our family, he was not struggling to attach. Um, so maybe you can't do it forever, but somebody can do it for 7 weeks. And
yep, yep.
you know what I mean? Like
Right.
just so we didn't get a touch from God that was a specific gifting to love children. Um, it wasn't any easier for us because of whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no
That's so
extra
good.
thing. Yeah.
I love that. That's really powerful. Um, I had a similar answer from one of the other mamas I talked to, which was really refreshing because I think that can be so, especially if somebody's like hearing these stories and is like, I don't know, for myself, I get like really excited and passionate and like about the future and maybe, being able to like kind of dive into this space, but also having those like those fears or,
Yes.
what ifs or like not having a
Yes.
space or whatever it is, knowing
Yes.
that like really they don't need a ton, like just the bonding
Yes.
thing, being able to like,
Yes.
just that even that picture for me, you sharing that picture of just holding this baby who was
Yes.
lifeless in a lot of ways, is just so powerful and worth it.
Yeah.
Like that totally is worth it.
Worth it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I think that's the thing that we get told all the time, like, weren't you afraid that you were going to lose him? Weren't you afraid? And yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm the adult in the situation and he was the helpless child. And so I'll take the hit for him.
Yeah.
I'll take that hit all day.
Yes.
You know
That's
what I
so
mean? If
good.
somebody's going to be hurting in this
Yep.
situation, why protect my own heart at the cost of a 3, 4, and 7-week-old child? Like, I can handle the grieving. I will grieve well for these children if they ever left me. They can't now. They're stuck with me. But in that space, you know what I mean?
For
like,
sure.
You hold the tension of giving them every drop of love that they deserve and knowing it could be the most painful gift you ever give someone. You know?
Wow.
You hold that tension.
It's like totally sacrificial love, like at its finest, man.
It
That's
is.
so powerful.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
and
wow.
I think it's just really educated me too on things that we say so flippantly in our community. We say, oh, at Christmas, we say, oh, we're going to adopt a family, which means we're going to give them presents. Well, we're not actually adopting them. Adoption is a lifelong partnership. You know, things in the store, we would be at Target at Christmas and they'd be like, adopt a toy, you know, adopt a pet for your American Girl doll.
Oh my gosh.
And my kids would just look at me like, you buy that toy, you're buying a toy, not adopting. Like,
no way. Oh my gosh.
The way we use the word adopt can be so flippant. And I am not like an overly PC person at all. So it is funny. I always feel a little bit like, oh gosh, I'm turning into one of those people.
Well, it's different when you're like in it and like experiencing the actual meaning of adoption. Like, I think this is not the same, but it reminds me just the similarities of like how we use love so flippantly as well.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I think it's actually quite refreshing to hear that perspective from you, and think it's important that we hear that and like remember. I don't know, just to be sensitive to that.
My favorite video when we were in like the trenches of adoption was, if you wouldn't say it about fake boobs, don't say it if you suspect adoption, which was my favorite. It was just my favorite.
Gosh,
so
that's so great.
If the child's skin color doesn't match, don't stare. You wouldn't stare at someone's fake boobs. Don't ask them how much they cost. Don't ask them. Like, don't ask where they got them. Don't like all these things. Oh, it was one of my absolute favorite videos. Like, are they real? Are they real kids? I can't tell you how many which ones are your real kids? And I always say, I feed them all. No one's plastic in this group. Trust me.
Oh my
gosh.
All that's so
They're all
good,
real.
Megan. Oh, I love that. Wow.
So just, the awareness of your curiosity. Like, I welcome everyone's curiosity. Ask me a question. But remember that at the end of that question, there are real people.
Yep.
And if you don't know how to phrase it, you really just need to say, like, I don't know how to ask this. There's probably the right way to ask this, right? Like,
well, even how you shared, like, at the beginning when you were talking with your friends, like, hey, I'm going to ask all the incorrect questions here. Like, just like front loading is such a big deal, and such a kind of, I don't know, would that be helpful for you in that situation if you had somebody coming to you asking questions, to be able to say, hey, I know I'm not going to get this right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Good to know.
And don't do it in front of my kids too. Like,
good point.
Well, I can't tell you how, like, the first time somebody said, which ones are your real kids? And my son was standing there and he just like turned to cement. And I was like, did she think I was going to point? And say, like, no, this one came from my uterus and this one came from somebody else's, but I love them just the same. Come on. We're in Rayleigh's. Don't ask me that.
Oh man. That's good to know. Good to know. That's a good point. Okay, so would you just share a little bit with us what it is you're working on right now? Where can we follow you? And because you're just so good about like sharing your daily story and like what you're walking through, and I think that's so important too, especially people who are interested in this or who are already in the trenches or like kind of in a hard spot, to be able to like have somebody that they can connect with and identify with. So where can we find you? What is it that you're doing right now?
So I am at the Halfdozenhome on Instagram, because
such a great name. Such a great name. I love it.
And I document our homeschooling life. We live out in the country, and we have dogs and cats and pigs and rabbits and, well, a pig, Samson. He's the greatest.
That's so cool.
He's pretty social. I document kind of the pace of our days and the weird things that happen, and kind of have a sense of humor about most things. I think especially for women who are in the trenches, families who are in the trenches of the difficult times of adoption, that our page is a hopeful place, because we're 5 years out now. So a lot of those wounds have healed, and we really are in just a very hopeful space that we talk about in our household. We talk about acknowledging the scar. So we are a family grafted, just like a grafted tree. And when that happens, it leaves a scar. And that scar will always be there, but it can be beautiful. And we're joined in a different way. But today, we're a blossoming tree. We're not a brand new stubby scabby tree anymore, which we were for a really long time. We still have our days, but adoption isn't in my hour to hour thought now. It's really into growing these children, all 6 of them, into people who are capable and intelligent and can hold a conversation and know how to do the dishes and like these things, you know what I mean? And not to tending those hourly wounds like we were in the beginning. So it's definitely not just a space for people who are in foster care. We talk about a whole host of things on my Instagram page, but I think it can be a hopeful space for people who are not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel quite yet.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, and another like small note, it's like, you know, just a small thing that I've noticed is you're really you have a touch for interior design, which is so fun. And I love
so
it.
Much fun. Thank you. Yes, my house is I love decorating our house and making it so cute. I really wish I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out how to take pictures like the fancy girls do. I am going to get that down.
What are you talking about? You have great pictures.
You know how but you know how their pictures are like so light and there's no shadows and it's just like the Lord God himself is shining into their kitchen.
But there's so many of those, Megan. There's too many. Keep it up. Keep the shadows, girl. It looks so cute.
That might be true.
I love it. Seriously, I love it. Okay, so I'd love to wrap it up with you sharing a high and low of your journey. Maybe flip it around. Start with the low and end on a high of your journey with foster care and adoption.
Yes. I think losing Levi was definitely the low. I think losing Levi was the low. And honestly, I really think I'm living the high right now. I think the high is a season. I think the high for me is that I'm seeing healing. There were years where I thought, this is my life forever. This pain, this trauma is never going to heal. I really did wonder, will we ever be able to launch them into the world? Wow. And so to see that really, they're really okay. They're going to be fine. They're going to be people. They're going to have their quirks and but yeah, I really think we're in the high right now. They're not teenagers. They're not babies. They still think I'm pretty awesome, which is great.
Yeah. That's a glorious season. Isn't
it so? It's just no diapers, no baby food, no stroller, and no bad attitude.
That is a sweet spot. Man, that is so nice. Oh, I love it. Wow. Well, Megan, gosh, I feel like we could keep talking forever, but I am just so thankful for your story and for sharing just a snippet of it. People, go follow her, go comment on their pig, all the things. Your kids are so beautiful. You can't even tell that there's any differences in your children either. They all are it's just amazing. I love it so much.
It's weird, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's kind of nice for us to move through life without getting stopped in the grocery store anymore. People stare because I have 6 kids, but no one's
well, sure,
oh, she must adopted. Which is kind of nice.
Oh yeah, that's
Thank you so much for having
my
me.
gosh,
it's really been the best time.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Please share this with a friend if it impacted you in any way, and leave a review on iTunes so other mamas can hear the truth, that they are enough and they are doing their very best. Be sure to catch up on what's happening in the Mommispace community every day on Instagram at Mommispace, and you can email me at mommispace@gmail.com for questions or interview recommendations. All my love to you, Mama. You're amazing. See you next week.
Your belongings in a bag, a new bed, a new room for your head. All is new, no answers quite yet. Here we go, here we go. The arms arms that hold you now bring a fire. The arms that hold you now bring a fire. A timely arrival will put your name on the door. I'll be the face you'll know as Mama for now. Here we go, here we go. The arms that hold you now bring a fire. The arms that hold you now bring a fire. The arms that hold you now bring a fire. The arms that hold you now bring a fire. And I won't let go if you won't let go. We're here right now together. You are mine and I am yours. We choose each other.